Hello everyone, welcome back to a new tutorial here, and it's one I was asked to make quite a while ago. It's my loaded pocket projects. Now this was the original one with Mabel that you might have seen, and this is what everybody asked when I shared this. Had lots of views, lots of comments, please show us how it's made. I said I wasn't quite happy, it was a little bit too tight, and I showed you another walkthrough of this one using the Here We Go papers by Knitwear Collections. And I said this was where I'd already ironed out a lot of the issues I had with my original one. So today we're going to make another travel themed one, again using another Knitwear collection, and this time it's called Journey. So this one was full of bright colours and very comic style drawings, and then this one is a little bit more vintagey, browns and creams and blues and maps and things like that. So I thought they're great for journey, for travel things, because you can put in journaling and photos into these. So I printed off a load of the ephemera, and I printed off some of the papers as well from the collection. So I'll set them aside for now. And because of the colour of the collection, I've gone for some cream cardstock. So it's just some 220 GSM cardstock. So let's get going with our trimmer. So to begin with, I'm going to cut my base envelope piece. And this is going to be 11 5/8. So 11 and 4/5. So you're just trimming off a tiny bit just to make the measuring a little bit easier later on. So it's 11 5/8 by 8 inches. So again, it's just a little slither, but it just helps to have the measurements much easier to follow later on. We're also going to need a piece for the pockets. So that's going to be 6 3/4 by 8. And then you're going to need some photo mats as well, and they are 6.5 by 5.5. So let's cut this at 6.5 first. Six and a half by 5.5. So we'll get both of them out of this piece. And unfortunately, it's just a little bit too small to get it out of that scrap from the pockets piece. So I'm going to have to just grab another piece. So I'm just going to do it at 5.5 by 6.5. There we go. So we needed 3 photo mats. So that's all our pieces cut. So let's move our trimmer out of the way. And let's bring in my scoreboard. I need my scoring tool. So let's start with our big base piece first of all. So I've got it the long way up, and I'm going to measure at 5 3/4. So it's 5.5, 5 3/4, 5 3/4. And then I'm going to flip it around and do 5 3/4 again. You could have gone forward 1/8, but this way you're guaranteed both your front and back will be identical sizes. Then I'm going to put it vertically into my scoreboard, and I'm going to do half. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. So just the next channel over. Flip it around. Half. And the next 1/8, the next channel. So that's our base piece scored. Then the next piece we want is our pocket one. And this, now we're just going to do a 1/2 inch on every side. Try to hold it down a bit better than I did. There we go. And then the photo mats don't need any scoring. Oh, what I have to, I'm going to bring my pocket one back, because now what I want to do is I want to mark. I've got one of the long pieces across the top at 6 inches. I'm just going to score down to my first score line. Okay. Then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to score this one down to my 3. On the 3 down to my first score line. So I've made a mark. I can show you. So 6 inches up to the score line, and 3 inches up on this side, up to score line. Just ignore where I folded my cardstock there. There we go. So what we're going to do is join those two up to make our pockets later. Put that away. And let's bring in a nice long scissors, my pencil, and a ruler. And some tape. There we go. So with our envelope base, what I'm going to do is I need to come down my first score line to where all the crosses meet. You can see there's the extra 8th one. And I'm going to do the same on the opposite one. And now I'm just simply going to cut all the way down. That's my first score line, that's the second one. All the way down until I get to my first score line again. And now I'm going to cut off that square. So we've got that little flap just to hide our gubbins later on. I'm going to do the same on this side, just cut all the way down to that first score line. And cut that square that we created out. And I'm just going to fold each of these over. Now I'm going to grab my bone folder or my Teflon tool, and I'm just going to gently fold. I don't need to burnish them hard because we're not after a fold, we're just after a nice 90-degree there. So we're just going to gently fold and fold this one. Then I'm going to tuck that in, and fold these two. And then just fold the other one back. There we go. And just give that a gentle burnish there as well. And that then is our pocket. So those little flaps will come in, and we're just going to glue them over like that. So let's add some tape on then. So I'm working on the inside here. I'm going up to my score line, up to that folded line, and on the bottom. There we go. I'm just going to fold back, just to expose a bit of my double-sided. And we're going to bring this over, make sure my corner is nice and neat. And then just line up that bit. Because this hasn't got the exposed tape, it means I've got a bit more time to wiggle. I'm going to do the same on this end. Let's tuck that little square in. You could just cut that off if you wanted to. There we go. Just work that into position. There we go. And now I can just pull up the other side as well. Just make sure it doesn't move. And you get your bone fold, if it's nice and slim, in just to press those edges there. So that's our envelope pretty much made already. So you can see we've got a little bit of depth to it, not like my first original one. There we go. So let's bring in our envelope one. Now if you remember, we've got that 6 and 3 inch score line. What I'm going to do now is just connect them with a pencil. I'm going to take my scissors now and I'm going to cut diagonally across. You see I didn't go straight and things there, they were just my measurements. They weren't important lines or score lines or anything, they were just marks. So now what we've got are 2 pockets for our front. So that's how it was. When I turn it around, I get both of them out of one. So now I'm just going to tape it up. So I'm taping between my 2 score lines, just like I do when I'm making pockets for my albums. So if you watch my videos, you've seen me do this hundreds of times. So up to that score line, between the 2 on the bottom, and up the side. And now we're just going to do our corner pocket cuts, which again, you've seen me do hundreds of times. Here's where my 2 score lines meet. There's the X. I'm going to cut towards the X, then just angle slightly out. And by doing that slight little angle there, they're not going to meet when we turn over. So we're reducing the bulk. So another corner cut here. So it's to the corner, angle, and out. And if we left this as it is, when I fold over, you would see that. So I'm just going to cut that at an angle too. Just a greater angle than this. So it's a bit sharper down. So then when we fold it over, you won't see any of it showing. So there's one. Once I've folded it, I might as well give it a little burnish while I'm here. And I'm just going to repeat that on my second one. Oops, there we are. So corner cut, an angle, corner cut, an angle, and cut off that one. So there we go. Here's the largest pocket. So before I glue it on, I could rub off that pencil line, but because I'm going to ink it anyway, it's going to be hidden. So I'm just using some Distress Ink Vintage Photo just to ink and give the edge a bit of a vintage look. There's one pocket done. So that I'm doing this on this because it will highlight those diagonal pockets. You'll see those diagonals a bit clearer. So you can then see here's a pocket to hold all your stuff. There we go. And whilst I'm at it, let's also do an envelope. Now I've already done this around all my ephemera pieces as well. So when you see all these images, they've all got some vintage photo around them as well. So everything then just ties in nicely with your project. So everything looks like it belongs to the same thing. And here we go, last little bit, is it? No, we've got one more edge here. I'm being very quick and quite rough here today, just to speed things up in the video. You can take your time, obviously. You'll have a little bit more time because you're not worried about everybody watching falling asleep. There we go. Oh, and we have got our photo mats as well to do, haven't we? Whilst we're here, let's just give these a quick inking. You can see it just changes the photo mat instantly. That's up to you. You can do the back of your photo mats as well, just to make sure everything from every angle is finished off. Let's do this one. And if you think, oh, 3 photo mats isn't enough for me, that's all you need to do is start off with a piece of cardstock that's a little bit bigger than what we taller than what we started with. So if we started with an 8-inch tall, if you had 12 by 12 cardstock, you could go up to 8.5, and you could add a little 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch or something onto the depth, and you could just make more of these photo cards and really go to town. Yeah, so this was an 1/8 thick, wasn't it? So you could go up to a 1/4. So you'd so if you cut your cardstock at 8.25 tall, and then score at 1 inch across the top, and move across 2 little channels, so move over 1/4 of an inch, you'd have an extra thick wallet, and you could add 3 more photo mats. Okay, so we've got our envelope, our pockets, and our photo mats all inked nicely. So let's start assembling our photo mat, our envelope. So I'm just going to take off the one on the bottom, and I'm just going to line up the 2 corners and make sure it's nice and straight. There we go. And open it up. Let's take off these 2. This long one I'm just going to expose a little bit. This short one is so small anyway. Just going to lift it up so I can line it on. With this one now, I'm going to line up and pull. Okay, try not to squeeze too much because it is got a bit of depth. And then we're just going to repeat with the shorter one. So that's why I didn't worry too much about that, because it's going to be covered anyway. So I'm lining up the 2 bottom corners. Nice strip. Good. Press it down gently, taking off the little bit there. I'll take off a little bit there. Make sure that left hand side is nice and straight. This right hand should just drop on then. There we go. So that is the loaded pocket with your photo mats all done. So that's all you need to do now is decorate it. So now we're going to add some of the fun bits. Okay. So to decorate the front, on my other two, I've chosen a pattern design for the top and bottom, and then a coordinating, just plainer coloured one to match. Can I move that across? So you've got this really patterned one, a bit of a plainer plaid one, and then your patterned again. But of course, you could just use one piece for that. You could just cut and have the pattern continuing all the way down. So when you've got the empty pocket, you've got a piece, especially if you've got a nice imaged paper. So let's cut. I've got this one, and I want a nice plainer one. Let's go for that one. And I'm going to cut these 1/4 inch shorter than my pocket. So it's 5 3/4. So I'm going to cut it at 5 1/2 by 6 1/2. Now, because these are digi papers, I have got that little bit of white. So I'm going to trim that off first. So it was, let's double check again, 5 1/2 by 6 1/2. Oh, I need to open my trimmer to get to the 6 1/2. There we go. So that just fits on the front there. But for this one, I am going to use another piece. So again, I'm going to cut out the same size, 5 1/2. But the height doesn't really matter because we're only coming up to there. So if you want to save some cardstock, we can cut it at 5 1/2, just a little bit more than 5 1/2. And then we've got this nice big piece and we can punch some tabs from later. So let's set them aside for now. And let's bring back my pencil. So this piece now is going to decorate the bottom pocket first. So I'm lining it up, allowing a nice even border. Now this is where my pocket is starting and it's coming down to here. So I'm just going to come back a little bit to allow for some of it to show. And I've marked it just a bit shorter on each side. I'm just going to join those two up. Again, you can use a trimmer, but just for speed, I'm just going to cut with my nice long scissors. There we go. And you'll have a pocket which fits nicely on the front. And you've got this piece then, which will slide behind there. Now, if you wanted that continuous pocket, what you would do is, again, line that up with a nice even border, mark where the next pocket would be, and you would have that thin diagonal strip, which you can put there. Of course, this time, I haven't got that because I'm going to use a different colour. So I'm going to ink the top just so that the papers match my project. I'm not going to bother with that, you're not going to see that, but this one you are going to see it all. You know, this inking is a choice, doesn't have to be done, but it really does pull everything together. Okay, so let's bring in my blue one. So I'm going to line it up again at the bottom. Now, again, I've cut this way too long to what I'm actually going to need. But I'd rather have that extra than not enough. And I'm just going to line them up. So I just did exactly the same as I did before. Just marked just below where the pocket is going to be. And now I'm going to cut it. And again, I'm not going to see all of this. I'm just going to pretty much see this diagonal line and a bit down the side. So let's just get those done. Yep, that's enough inking. And I'm just going to get my glue. So start with the bottom piece. Make sure I get right to those corners because you don't want the corner to lift. Place it down. Next, we're going to go to the blue one. So I'm going to put some glue on the top, down the sides, and then across the middle. I'm not going to worry too much about the bottom because as long as the top is glued, everything's going to slide over to the bottom anyway. If you find it is tricky to get in, just trim some off the bottom of your blue piece, or whatever colour yours is. Mine was blue. And it'll just slide in a little bit easier because you don't have to get it down as far. Then the final piece. Here we go. Just lift that pocket. In we go. And go down. And there's your pocket all decorated. Of course, then if you've got another piece you want to put on the back, just cut a nice big 5.5 by 6.5 to do the back. So there's our pocket and our envelope done. It's now time to do our photo mats. Let's bring back, we've still got all these papers. I've got another 2 printed off. And what we're looking for now, if I bring in one of these ones, I designed the measurements so that these mats here are just slightly bigger than a 6x4 photo. So it's 1/4 inch bigger. So when you put your photo on, you still have that nice red border. And then we're just using up some of our scraps here, making 1-inch strips just there. And then you can use any tab you want, but I've just got this off Amazon. Just typed in tab punches, and this was the first one that came up. Let's get our photo wallets out. So we've got these 2 left over from our front, which I can cut 6x4, 6.25 by 4.25 photo mats from. Let's get rid of that. So 4.25 by 6.25. So that's 1 photo mat. Oh, sorry, 2 photo mats actually, because I had one underneath. And then I'm going to cut one of this nice red. Cut it at 5.25? Yes, I did. For some scary moment there, I thought I'd cut it at 4 inches. Okay, so those are my 3 photo mats. Let's look at another piece there. But just for fun on this one of these photo mats actually was able to be resized to 6.25 by 4.25. So with this one, I've actually got these 3 cut out as photo mats. So I resized them to 6.25 by 4.25. So on my photo mats today, I might use these on the front and these on the back. So again, let's bring in our ink. And this red looks out of place at the moment. But once we've got our images in, we've got the red being pulled in on the photo, on the postcards, on the boarding passes. So although it looks a bit strange now, hopefully by later it'll be sorted. Okay. So these are my photo mats. Which will go here. So we just need those 1 inch strips now. So they're going to be 1 inch by 6 1/4. So I've still got the scraps from this piece. So let's get these lined up on that 1 inch line. By 6 1/4. So I've cut 2 there. I'm going to need, is this long enough? No. So I'm still going to need another 4. So let's bring in this one. Let's do it at 6 1/4. I'm going to cut a few out of this one now. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some red ones as well, and we can see what we can do afterwards then. And 6 1/4. So I've got enough, but I may change my mind later on, and I might cut some more out of some of the other colours. We shall see. Okay. And again, we're just going to ink these edges nice and quick. Try to be as fast as we can. The red one. So this is also hiding that little white core. It's adding a little brown to the edges, but also cut that little core which is showing from my trimming. It's now brown rather than sparkling white, especially with this white matte paper. Last little bit. There we go. And we've got one more ink in to do later on. That'll do for now. Right. So, 3 photo mats. We've got 3 designer paper mats. I did have, oh yeah, 1, 2, 3. 3 photo card mats, but of course you could have just cut your papers as well. And 6 of my pieces. So I think what I'll do, on the front, I'm just going to use one of these and then match it with the backing papers and keep these 3 for the journaling on the back. As I say on the back, I haven't decided, shall we do the backs like this and the fronts with the journals? Yeah, let's do that. So what I'm going to do, let's do the backs, the fronts first. So I'm going to put my photo mat on the left hand side. I'm just going to bring in my other strip just so I know where they're going to go. And then glue them down. I forgot to put the top back on. It's quite warm today. Let me just get my pin, release my glue. Yeah, here we go. So let's get this journal card in place. Bring that happy, yeah. Press it down. And then glue this next to it. Okay. And then on the back, we're going to take the blue one. Now this time I'm going to put it on the right hand side. Otherwise, when we come to put our tab on, it's going to be over the photo rather than on the edge. So let's place the blue here. Oh, I should have done that. Luckily, it'll fit. There we go. So we've got our red and blue one. The next time I'm going to come to this, I'm going to have my blue, and then I'll have my red and that one. Perfect. So let's just finish doing the others. See if I can do both of them side by side, is it? So take your time doing this bit. Try and get your measurements a bit better. I'm going to try and go quickly. So this is the front because the photo mat is on the left. And on the back, we make sure we put our photo mat on the right. There we go. And the last one. Let's turn them over. So those two and those two. So we're just going to do it on the right hand side this time. And the last one. And the last bit. So those now are our 3 photo mat backs. You can see they all tie in together. And then we turn them over, we got our journal ones. And they will just slide in to there. But then you won't be able to get them out. So this is where we bring our tab punch in. Let's see if I can, will I get them out this scrap? I actually would. Let's have one. Am I going to get it out of this blue? Yes, oh. Yes, I can get one out of this. There's 2. And I'll get it out of, that's too small a scrap. So let's find that red I had left over. Excellent. And then with this tab punch, that's all we do. We fold them in half. And I said there was one more bit of ink, and that's these. So I'm just gonna just give them a quick inking. And a little bit more, one more somewhere, here we are. And on the back. Excellent, there we are. And now it's just a case of, ooh, let's have a look on the backs. So we haven't got the red one on that one. We don't want that to happen. So if we have red on that one, if we have that on that one, now let's put the red in the middle, that one there, and that one there. Okay, so let's flip them over. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to first glue the top tab, and I'm just going to line it up to that pattern paper and up to the top of my photo card and squeeze it down. So that's number 1. I'm going to skip number 2. You'll see why now. I'm going to go on to number 3. Again, make sure it comes up to the edge because that's what catches onto our photo card. Now this one, I'm going to do towards the bottom. It's up to you if you want to do the bottom of the card or bottom of the decorative paper. I like bottom of the card because it just looks fuller when they're all inside, because it goes all the way up the envelope. And then number 3, that middle one, I do at the end because I can use those other 2 to line them up. Let's have a look. So I've got my other 2 cards, place this one on top, and then I can just sort of center it in the middle. Lift it up carefully and fold. Oh, just come off. This should be okay. So I just need to give that a second then, just to set. Let's have a look. That's the top one, that's the middle one, and that's the bottom one. And then those 3 will now slide into my envelope. and hang out as the tabs. Oh, let's have a look. That should be behind. There we go. And there we go. Our envelope is ready. And then it's just a case of what else do you want to add? Now I've gone for the travel theme again, because I quite like, in the Knitwit kit, we've got these like travel plans, so you can just print them off. Let me just tell you the size of these. They're like 5 3/4 by 4 1/4. Doesn't have to be exact, but that's about the height to fit in. Top 5 places I want to visit, so we can put that in. Had to have a little postcard, didn't we? So let's put a postcard in. A little boarding pass you can fill in. Let's put that in the front pouch. Some little travel notes, so from your trip you can fill those in. Now here somewhere I've also got, and so the adventure begins. Now, I thought that would look really nice here, so I could just glue it on, or as I did with my other one, if I do a reverse L shape with my glue, if my glue hadn't dried again, a reverse L shape. I don't think I got the glue, did I? To give it a little more of a wiggle. It is very unusually hot here today, so my glue is sealing much quicker than usual. I'll just trim a bit off the edge. It's my fault for not putting the lid back on properly. So reverse L shape, so down the right hand side and across the bottom. Now, as I expected, it's now come out too quick. Okay, there we go. And because I've only got that L shape, when I come later on to fill things in, I can now tuck even more things. I don't want to do it now because the glue will stick. Things you can add if you've got a photo you want to put in here. You could add this tab straight onto your photo like so, and right onto it. I think I got a couple of them, so they might be nice to pop in there. A couple more luggage tags. So again, these could be writing on the front, small, like your Instax photos on the back. So you can start filling, if you've got one of those Instax cameras, which are like the old Polaroid, you can start filling up your envelope whilst you're still on the journey. And, oh, I didn't show you that one. A nice little tag, which you could put a photo on the back if you wanted in there. So let me just make sure these aren't in that glue. So there we go. That is my loaded envelope. Again, this could be one of those projects you make just as a standalone, like I've been doing. Or if you've got an album with a deep pocket, you could drop one of these in it and use the same papers so it all ties together. I hope you've enjoyed it. Now, I know a lot of you were waiting for this one, so I'm really looking forward to seeing your versions, seeing what sort of themes you might be using, what sort of papers and things. And once you've made it, I'd love to see the photos of your loaded envelopes or loaded pockets. And to do that, all you need to do is have a look in the description below and you'll find a link to my Facebook group called Paper Crafting with Paul. And in that group, then you can post your versions, have a look at what other people have made using the tutorials. So follow the link or just go onto Facebook and type Paper Crafting with Paul and the group will come up. So please, if you haven't already, give this video a little thumbs up or subscribe if you haven't. Write your comments below, tell me what you're going to be making or what sort of ideas you'd have for these pockets. Would you want to make a baby one for reasons or whatever? let me know by writing those comments. They really do help the channel to grow. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.